Hi everyone to a new issue of Finance TV. Sky Deutschland generated a buzz this summer, first of all by paying a lot of money for the new Bundesliga broadcasting rights and on the other hand for posting its first quarterly profits in years. I'm really looking forward to get an update on the company's strategy and performance by Steven Tomsic, CFO. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you, Mikhail.
First of all, after several years of huge losses, you managed to post the first EBIT profit in the second quarter. Is it a sustainable improvement?
Listen, on EBITDA, we posted a €23 million profit, which was very encouraging for us. There's a certain level of seasonality to that profit because our second quarter and to a certain extent our third quarter have got much lower concentration of football matches, which is our biggest single cost in the P&L. It's not going to repeat itself. We've made it pretty clear to everybody that for the second half of the year we'll be negative on an EBITDA basis, but the trend line is clearly positive for us.
For next year, you promised the first EBITDA for the full year.
Correct.
But next year will also be the year when the additional costs for the Bundesliga rights will kick in for the first time.
Yep.
Does it hurt your profit promise?
No, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt our profit promise at all. It's important to understand the number that we've quoted as being the number that we bid for the football rights, which is close to €485 million, is an average number across the 4 years, and so that number will step up. So it'll be lower in the first year and it'll be higher in the final year of the rights. But the important thing from that, though, is the strategic positioning that the rights package that we have acquired puts us in the sense that we have got absolute exclusivity over the football rights, which means that we become, not that we aren't the home of football right now, but we become the absolute unambiguous home of football going into the start of the next season, which we fully expect to drive accelerating subscriber growth and, just as importantly, accelerating ARPU growth, which will continue to give us that revenue momentum to deliver the EBITDA profit on a full-year basis next year.
You paid almost twice as much as you paid for the package you have in place right now, but on the other hand, you also received much more broadcasting rights, for example, for the Internet too. Deutsche Telekom would love to get its hand on the Internet rights. Will you have to sell off parts of the rights, maybe to Deutsche Telekom, in order to refinance the step up in the price?
Now, listen, there's been a lot of speculation around what we will do with the full package of rights that we own. And there's been a lot of speculation or perceptions around our need to do a deal with, and it's not just Deutsche Telekom. There are other IPTV/mobile players in the market that are important in the tapestry of distribution in Germany. We don't have to do a deal with anybody. We bought the rights knowing that we could monetize those across sort of the full spectrum. We don't necessarily have to distribute across IPTV, and so our discussions with Deutsche Telekom come down to, yes, we'd like them to be able to sell Sky. So the notion of us having to sub-license the rights or wholesale the rights to anybody, whether it's Deutsche Telekom or Vodafone or anybody else, is just not on the table for us. So let's make that clear. There's no imperative to do a deal there, but sure, if there's the right commercial deal that makes sense for us, we'll absolutely take a look at it.
How many additional subscribers do you expect to sign up for Sky because of the Bundesliga deal, and how is this going to affect your cash flow? We're very careful about giving targets. The business has given targets in the past around subscribers or profitability, and we've been very, very careful about providing those targets because the business is still in turnaround phase and you want to be able to manage the business dynamically, and so setting a subscriber target may not be the appropriate thing if consumer sentiment falls backwards and you want to chase yield rather than subscriber growth. We're not going to give those kind of targets. What I can say, though, is if you look at the last 8 quarters of what we've delivered, we're kind of operating in terms of net subscriber growth at the level of the mid-300,000 growth, net growth. And so our expectation is that is kind of like a bedrock layer of growth. And then as we add new things to the product mix, and the most substantial thing that we add next year is full exclusivity over football, we expect that net growth to accelerate. I'm not going to give you a number on what. I have clear expectations of what that number will be, but we're certainly not going to put that out in the market. Maybe we'll find out. In terms of financing, you're very highly dependent still on your parent company, News Corp, which invested about €1 billion during the last few years in order to save Sky Deutschland. For you as a CFO, how much does this dependence concern you? let me take a step back. If you look at the business in 2008 when News Corp first got involved with, at the time, Premiere, it stepped in and put in substantial amounts of money. And between sort of late 2008 through to the current round of capital raising that we're still in the midst of, News Corp has stood behind, not necessarily put the money in themselves directly, but absolutely backstopped and stood behind about $1.3 billion in fresh capital that's gone into the business. And so you might say, when as a CFO would I feel more comfortable about the fact we're not relying on news? I feel very comfortable about the fact that News Corp has been an incredibly supportive shareholder of this business and has helped build a business on the basis of value rather than short-term objectives. And it's not just News Corporation. We have significant sort of second, third, fourth shareholders who all share a fairly similar vision about growing this business for the long term. And I think, yes, we have been dependent on News Corp to sit behind the company because, to be quite frank, without the good grace of News Corp, this company wouldn't be around anymore. But listen, the company is every day a much sort of more sort of sustainable business going forward. And so with that will come a different capital structure, which we're in the midst of trying to create as part of a refinancing of the balance sheet that we are endeavouring to complete by Q1 of next year.
So when will Sky Deutschland be able to stand on its own feet again in terms of financing?
We announced a 300 million capital raise in February, of which we did 156 million the week after the announcement. We still have 144 million left to raise. That is enough for us in terms of a funding envelope to get to cash flow break even. But in terms of capital structure, there are bigger issues in terms of capital structure, which is refinancing / extension of the existing bank debt, and hand in glove with that goes the refinancing of News Corp shareholder loans. And so they are part of our sort of broader capital structure, and so that needs to be addressed as part of what we need to achieve in Q1 of next year.
So let's come to the last questions of Finance TV, which I would like to invite you to answer with yes or no.
Yes.
First one, does your company have the potential to post a free cash flow next year?
We fully expect to be EBITDA positive next year on a full year basis, and everybody can do the numbers themselves, but after that will come free cash flow.
Second question. Some analysts predict the maximum number of subscribers which Sky can attract at, 4 or 5 million customers. Are they correct?
No, we don't. We absolutely don't subscribe to there being a ceiling. Apart from 41 million households in Germany and Austria, we absolutely don't subscribe to there being a ceiling in Germany.
And last question: did your jaw drop when you realized how much your colleagues are going to pay for the Bundesliga rights?
Absolutely not, because I was part of the bidding process and I knew exactly what was going into the envelope. And to be quite frank, we would not prefer to pay less to have less.
Okay, then I wish you good luck and much fun with your new broadcasting rights and on your path to turnaround. Thanks for your visit, Steve Tomsic. Thanks for watching the show. Tomorrow we'll have Joachim Lutz, the CEO of Corp Energy, here in our studio. Tune in tomorrow again, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.